this is Sunniva.
And this is Johannes.
And you are watching Board Gaming Ramblings.
And today we are taking a look at Agemonia from designer Max Wikström.
This is a campaign game for 1 to 4 players.
Yes, let's talk about the game. This is a new big campaign game. I did even like a shorts video. I don't do a lot of those. Shorts video. Unboxing the stuff because there's so much stuff in this game.
Yes.
We have not played, we have not completed the game. This is going to be a review based on how far we have gotten. We have played, I think, 8 scenarios, something like that. We're not going to do any spoilers, so there's not going to be any story spoilers. That also means, like in many of these kind of campaign game reviews, there's not going to be many pictures.
Yes.
We took some pictures in the first tutorial. Those we might add in, just so you know. Because there's not really spoiling anything, it's for the tutorial, but just like so you know. This is a game we backed on Kickstarter, and yeah, those are the things I need to say, so let's talk about the game. Agemonia is a big, sprawling campaign game with loads and loads of scenarios. You're playing through a long story. It's not Gloomhaven, Frosthaven, like 50,000 scenarios, but more like manageable, but still big. You have many characters to choose from, and those characters will be sent out in this story, which I cannot tell you about what is going on in the story, but there is stuff going on in the story, and you're trying in this fantasy world to enjoy the story, to learn about your character, see how their life comes to be, decide if you want to be a nice person or a horrible person in this game. That is the overview. Yes. You are basically in this game, you are doing missions, moving on maps, fighting things, then you are in town and you will do town things like buying stuff and saying, I will sell you this, and you will get some money, and then you can buy other things which are good. And then you're going to alternate doing this from the beginning until the end, or when you stop in the middle, because there's many other things to do in life. Let's talk about Agemonia.
The artwork in the game looks fantastic. I love everything about it, especially on the story cards, because you're revealing a lot of those during a scenario. Those are in black and white, like a little book style, which I really enjoy that, because those are a little different from the beautiful maps and the detailed art for the characters, for example. And the components are great in general.
Yep.
I think I'm super happy about this game.
Yeah, I really like it. It's pretty simple to set up and tear down. There's a lot of stuff, but it's a pretty functional insert. Everything has its room. And one thing I have to say, like we did the all-in stuff, so we got a lot of sleeves for the game. And the game doesn't fit the cards sleeved. And also, there's no reason, any way for any person looking at you to sleeve the 800 tarot-sized cards. I don't think there are 800, but there's 800 sleeves. Because 90% of them are mission cards that you're using one time.
Yes.
You're never shuffling them. You're taking them out of the deck, putting them on the table. Maybe you're flipping it. And then you're putting it back, and you're never looking at it again.
Yes.
If you're not playing the game 50,000 times, there's no reason to buy sleeves for those.
No.
So there's no reason to not use the functional insert, because then it has room for everything. If you just sleeve some items, you sleeve some of the other cards that you're using and shuffling a lot. That makes sense. We did that because there were sleeves. But other than that, there's no reason to sleeve them. We have the mini pack. So if you see some pictures here, there might be miniatures. In the game, there are standees. Do you have a preference between standees or miniatures?
If I would back it again,
yes.
I think miniatures would be fine, but so standees would be fine.
Yeah.
But I like the miniatures as well. What I really do enjoy that we have is the upgraded chips for your stamina and health, because those are really nice.
Yes, I agree. So all in all, even if you buy the base game, you're going to get some great components, great insert, and I really like the add-ons, but they're not there. You don't need them to enjoy the game, because the gameplay and the story is what makes this game good. Spoiler alert. Is there something you want to ask me?
Yeah. Are there a rulebook to this game?
Kind of. Because
that
this
was not the answer I was looking for.
No, because this is the worst part of the game. And this is one thing that makes me a bit frustrated, because I still haven't played a campaign game of this size where everything makes sense and where the rulebook is crystal clear. I understand there's a lot of rules, but let's talk about it. In this game, you are starting off doing a tutorial. I didn't read any rules before we went into that. And I'm happy I did, because I like it when they do it this way. What I would say, if you're getting this game, download the DIZED app. I remember DICE coming and trying to be like an interactive way of learning games. I don't know how much I like that in some games, but here it works fantastic.
Yes.
It's free. You just have to watch some ads from time to time. There's no reason to not use it, like, because
it was amazing.
Having to sit and read all the things, it's going to be tedious and take time. Just clicking, having an iPad or using your phone, your PC, and just like clicking through and doing the things and making the tutorial work very well. So this is the campaign book, kind of. It's kind of weird to call it campaign book, because half of it is the tutorial, which is like everything you're doing for everything of these things for the first 3 scenarios. And then there's other things I'm not going to spoil in this one. And then you have a rules reference. And this is not very good. The worst part about this rules reference is that there's no index. There is an index on BGG. I don't know if it's fan-made or if there's somebody from the company who made it. But you need an index in a rulebook that's 50 pages long, and I want to look for something. There is a contents of things, and you kind of, when you flip through it 16,000 times, you start remembering where things are. But it's just kind of lacking. The other thing, this is pretty annoying, is that there's no kind of reference cards. So when you have rules that you use, for example, there's a couple of things that annoys me a lot. There is one thing called traps that you're going to use, and there is like an action you can take to disarm them, but you just have to remember that, because there's nowhere to be found. So you just have to remember that every time you encounter the traps, you just have to remember that's something you can do. And then you have to remember how you do it, and which things you're using to doing it, how many dice you're going to roll, how it works, what happens if you don't do it, what happens if you do it. And that's annoying. And the other thing is, there's an item you're getting in the first scenario. It tells you how you can use it, and there's like 15 things you can do with that item. And then after that, it's nowhere. It's just like you have a card, and it could have been on the card what the card does, but it's not, which is annoying. And these kind of things make it like, sometimes you're just going to be like, it's going to be this way, and just do a thing. But it's I have to say, like, this is not a problem, like, because many of these games are way worse. If you are used to playing these games and getting annoyed by these things, it's way better here. It just makes me sad, because spoiler alert, I love most everything about the rest of the thing, but this makes it a bit harder to get into. I'm not going to go into more of a rant. That was just like my feelings.
Can I add something to your rant,
course.
though? I have to give some props to DICE, like you already did, because I think because of that
the app DICE, yeah.
Yes, this was the smoothest transition into a campaign game of this size that I've had ever. It was so nice to learn the game in that way. So if you are thinking about buying a Agemonia or don't know how to start your campaign, I highly recommend the app. But after that, as you said, rules referencing gets really clunky, and it shouldn't have been this way, because the rules in itself try to be simpler than some of the other, for example, Gloomhaven. I feel like in terms of line of sight and these attacking rules and stuff like that,
I feel they're kind of on par,
actually. I
don't
feel like it has to be difficult, but the rulebook makes it so.
Yeah, and just another shout out to DICE. Is there also a full rulebook there where you can search?
Oh yeah,
so
we've used that a lot.
I have this word, I'm searching for it, and I'm most of the time getting mine.
Yes.
So I think that's like essential if you want to play the game, but it's a free app, so you can download it. We played the game.
Yes, we played it with 2 players, and the shorter scenarios that we have gotten into.
Those are the only ones we have played, because there are 3 lengths of scenarios.
Yes. So we've played the shorter ones, and those have taken 90 to 120 minutes.
Yeah, so I'm really wondering just how long the longest ones are going to be.
I don't feel like it's overstaying its welcome. I have fun during the whole of scenario, which in, for example, a 4-player game of Gloomhaven could feel very tedious sometimes. But when we're playing 2, I really like playing just the 2 of us, though.
Absolutely. There's also things to do in between the scenarios, and that has taken from 15 minutes to
2 hours.
Yes. That was a long 2 hours. It wasn't bad. It was just like, because when something happens, a lot of new stuff is going to open up and happen. And luckily that doesn't happen way too often. So, but just know that. So, but it's also fun, the part in between.
Yes,
and
I
when you
agree.
have gotten like into it and done it, it's going to be quicker because you
Yes.
know the locations and stuff, and you don't have to read a lot of stuff every time. Gameplay.
Yeah.
There is two parts which we have already talked about, which is the city and the scenario. What do you do in the city?
In the city, you are shopping.
Yes.
You are triggering some events. You are also doing some actions. You have some personal actions that only you can do, and also some city actions. For example, in one location, you can do something to get some money, or you can rest or heal or something.
Yeah.
So little small things you can do.
Yeah, and after you have done that, you're not going to go into detail on these things because we don't want to spoil. We're just telling you this is what happens. So review things. I enjoy it. I think the scenarios are more fun than the in between. But as we said, like the 2 hours when we spent that was felt a little long and tedious. But other than that, it feels like it's just like, okay, do we need something? Do we have enough money to buy new equipment? Yes or no? Okay, we remember. Oh, but and there is crafting and stuff like that, which you can get very heavy into. I don't usually do that either in video games or board games, so I might not go heavy into that here either. But it's there. After you've done those things, you're going into the journey step, where you journey to your location. And as in many games, you are then doing events. If you are journeying just into the city, you're mostly just reading a section in the storybook, and it tells you what happens basically on the journey. But if you're journeying outside of the city you're in, there is also like a world event, so something happens on the road. These two event types feel pretty similar to Gloomhaven.
Yeah,
or Frosthaven. You have like the city event that in this game you have to do it. In Frosthaven
Yeah.
you don't have to, or Gloomhaven, but you usually do because there's no reason not to. And then just like a travel event when you travel to see what happens on your turn.
Yeah.
And then you do a mission.
Yes, and that is the meat and heart of this game. You are, as in most of these games, moving your character around.
Yes.
You're fighting off enemies. You're gathering items or information. And what I think is cool about this game is that you have a certain location on your map, and it says like when you're this range from the spot,
Okay, yeah.
something will reveal itself. So you're trying to like explore in the beginning, and then try to believe like, okay, what do we actually need to discover? Because as you said to me when we started playing this game, this might not be a game where you get to see everything.
No.
Which might annoy me a little bit.
It makes your brain kind of
Yes,
go,
I want to see everything.
But it's nice because that you're not going to do everything, all scenarios, doing it different. It means also that if you are a person who's playing the whole thing and want to play it again, there is stuff to play again. We're not going to talk about replay because we don't know, because we only played like 8 scenarios and there's a lot of scenarios. I really like, as I said, the story point system.
Yes.
I think that really works great. Another thing, and that kind of feels different from many other games. Like in Gloomhaven, there's usually, when you open the door, read this section, here like there is many things you can explore, you can find things. Oh, you find this cool thing. Oh, there was an enemy. Oh, there was this thing.
Yes.
And there's hints usually on the map to see like what do you think this is. Like it's a chest. It's probably going to be a chest you can open up to find something in it.
Yeah.
It hasn't been so far. Open up the chest. There's a bear. It's not like seven
We don't
continent.
know.
There
Might
hasn't
happen.
been bears in the chest so far, but I can't say that there's not going to be any bears. Another thing I really like is that on your turn, you are going to do a maneuver and you're going to do an action. And the maneuver is going to be a movement or healing. And then you have actions. You can evolve those throughout the game, which I really like. You have these actions that are affixed to your character, which are the same for both people. And then you're going to have, or for all characters, then you're going to have interchangeable actions that when you grow stronger, you're going to get more choices. And then at the beginning of each scenario, you're going to choose which of these you want to use. Really like that system. And also let's talk a bit about the order system, like the priority, like the order.
Initiative.
Initiative, that's the
Yes.
word I was looking for. Initiative.
Because what action you decide to do also decides your initiative, which is cool. And then you draw a card that determines what order, like the different symbols are in. So then suddenly you can have another order between the players than you'd like. Or, for example, it decides if you're before or after an enemy.
Yes, there's 3 colors. So the 3 colors enemies and 3 colored actions.
Yes.
So most of the time you have red, which is most of the time the fastest. then you have blue, and then you have green. So you kind of, it's not always that way, but most of the cards have like a logical way from red to green. So if you need to go fast, usually you want to do a red action. Of course, it can happen that it doesn't happen, but it's not like completely random. It's not choose what you want, roll a die, and hope that you get the initiative order you want. So we didn't understand that in the beginning. We were like, we don't know. And I looked through all the cards. I was like, okay, there is like that system, which I really enjoy.
I agree.
So you don't know, like for example in Gloomhaven, because it's hard to not, because that's the one we play the most. It's hard to not compare at all.
Yeah.
You also have that you don't know exactly when you want to go, but if you go quick, it's a higher chance that you will go quicker than the enemy.
It's a probability.
The other, but here it's going to be the same for all enemies. So it's not like in Gloomhaven where if you lure an enemy, you know, oh, that enemy is super quick or that is super slow.
That's true.
That is not here, but it's a simpler system. But I really enjoy the system. The other thing we have is kind of a timer, because at the end of each round, you're going to draw a card that has a number and an arrow on it. And you use that deck for many things, like it tells you how many rounds you played. It also tells you if there's some rules, it tells you to spawn enemies. It's going to tell you where to spawn the enemies. And also many times in the game, you're going to get like start a timer. And then after you get to 20, because this card has like 1 to 5 on them, after you get to 20, something happens. So that's kind of like, it's a random thing. So you could be unlucky of doing like, oh, you really want those 20 to go quickly, and then you get like 1, 2, 3. But you could also want it to go very slow, and then get 5. And when you make a timer and you end the timer, you're going to have the last card going to start the next timer. So if you have like consecutive like timers, you can be unlucky and get like a high card, so it goes quicker. But I feel like it's kind of that randomness doesn't bother me, because the random parts here are nice. For a cooperative game, you need those kind of things to stay on edge and not be a deterministic game.
I agree, and there are also a lot of dice rolling in the game, which add to the randomness. You have different color dice for like dice checks, skill checks, I mean, and attacking. And
those are the same ones.
Those are the same ones, and another type of dice for defending.
Yep.
And what I like about it is that you have ways to mitigate it, which I really enjoy. And the red dice that you usually are rolling for skill checks and attacking feel pretty satisfying to roll, because there really are no misses on that dice, which I really think is fun. You can still like do poorly, but it's fun to do those things.
Yeah, one thing we haven't talked about, let's talk about that when dice rolling, is the stamina system.
Yeah.
Because you are going to have an X amount of stamina, which are also your health, which in a really cool way. I really love this. So when you're doing an action, some actions are free, but some actions cost you stamina, and then you have to take the stamina from your player board and place it like you used it up. And some of the dice actions also have like, okay, you can do damage now, or you can get hits for the success for the skill check, but you have to use stamina if you want to do it. And balancing, using and restoring stamina is really cool. And then when you get attacked and you take damage, you're going to flip stamina from your stamina pile over to the damage and place those as kind of 2 discard piles. And when you know you're going to get attacked, you want to kind of use stamina. Or it's not bad to use stamina, because then you just like lose those as health after they use. So kind of like a 3-layered thing, which I really enjoy. So I think like for the gameplay here feels pretty smooth.
Yeah, I really like the gameplay.
It's fun. Is there anything about the gameplay that you do not like?
No, I don't think so.
No, I
what
think
about
like
you?
Nothing like specific. I think that it might sometimes, and it has been, frustrating with the luck of the timer, with some luck of the timing of. But the timer, I think, is like the most luck part. So there might be you failing because of that, but then you're not going to do it another time. Like, and then most of the scenarios are fail forward, so you're not going to have to like play the same scenario 16 times if it's a horrible scenario. Is there something I don't like?
Well, there's one thing maybe, because we have been in a situation many times where when we stay in the same area, you're the person that always gets attacked.
Yes.
So that feels sometimes a little hard for us to manage.
Balance it out,
because it doesn't switch up like in Gloomhaven, for example, you have some initiative
it's
things
mostly
as well.
like the one that has the lowest initiative.
But in this game, you have a taunt value.
Yes.
that is always higher or lower for your character. So if you want to, if I want to take the damage, I have to be closer to the enemy.
Because they always want to choose the closest, and then
Yes.
if it's the same, it's a taunt value.
They're going to get to you.
Yeah, so that I agree. That's been frustrating, but that's...
You have to just manage it. We
Yeah.
know it. It's very, what you call it, like foreseeable. That's
Yes,
not the word I was
yes.
looking for.
Predictable.
But predictable.
You kind of said something in the half Norwegian.
Foreseeable, yeah.
But the thing is, like, you know it, and my character is just a tiny bit more annoying than your character. It's just like, yeah, come and get me, and you're in the shadows because you're like a shadow person. Let's talk briefly about the story without actually talking about the story, which is the best thing about stories. What do you think about the story and the writing of the game?
The writing is really nice. The story is good so far, but actually the most interesting thing to me is my character. I think my character is really cool. I think you feel the same way as well.
About your character?
Right, my character.
So
it's
cool.
so cool. No, but your own.
Yes.
And also I feel like the world that they've tried, or the person...
The world building, yeah.
Yes, is really good.
Yes.
So I'm actually more hyped for just like the setting than the story, which feels weird, but I'm very into like being in the world, exploring the world, and exploring my character.
We haven't gotten far, even though we've done like 8 scenarios. We haven't done a lot of the main story ones.
No.
So because we just a bit. I love the world. I really enjoy just experiencing the world. There is a lot of factions that you can get influenced with. There are like the factions that are against each other, so you kind of have to choose like, would you want to help this side or this side in all these different categories. There's a lot of thought that's gone into making this world.
Yes.
And so far we don't know huge things. There's been a couple of things, but I have read, and the feeling I have so far is that our choices in this game are actually going to have consequences.
Yeah.
Like the things we choose to do is actually going to change things. It's not like some Telltale games, which we love, the video games, where you feel like you have great feeling about what you're doing, or great like you're influencing the story, and then you don't really do it. Here it feels like you're going to do it. We cannot talk much about it because we haven't talked a lot, and we haven't gotten a lot of these choices yet, but some of them have felt hard.
Yes.
And felt like, okay, do we want to do this or do we want to be evil? We both have that problem about being evil in games.
We can't do it.
No, I almost can't do it in a video game. Like I have some part of me is just like, that would be fun to see how that works, but it's kind of hard taking the money from that person or taking the food they have.
I always want to be nice,
Yes.
even though it isn't real, and I can be like, just have fun and be as bad as I want to. I just still choose to be nice, which is boring, but it's
fun.
But fun.
So yeah, I think that the story building or the world building, the story, the writing is good. All of that is top notch. There is an app. This is I'm briefly going to tell you about it. We haven't used it.
No.
I usually like apps, or I do like apps. I'm not one of those who don't like apps, but just know, if you are one person who don't like apps, you don't need it.
No, really, that's the reason we haven't used it, because we don't really genuinely don't feel the need for it.
Nope.
We use app when we play Frosthaven, for example. So we don't need an app for it, but I feel like it greatly reduces all the things.
A lot of things.
But in this game, I feel like it's easier to manage, and I don't mind doing it myself. It's nice to not have an app.
Yeah, I think there's some voice acting and stuff, but you kind of, I think it goes just quicker just reading, because most of the time it's not huge text. It's not like huge walls of text. Might be a page, might be a little bit, but it's like mostly during the scenario, it's a small snippets on the card. I don't think those are voiced anyways. But there is like, it does some of the bookkeeping for you, but there isn't a lot of bookkeeping to do. There's a couple of sheets of paper and there's some stickers. So if you don't want to do the stickers, maybe the app is better. For like the cards with stickers, we just use sleeves and we just sticker the sleeve. So I feel like the app is there, so you know it, but also know that you don't need the app to make the game good.
Yeah.
Let's talk a bit about the weight and who is this game for.
This is a heavier, more involved kind of campaign game.
Yes.
I said like the rules feel to me pretty straightforward, but I have played these kind of games before. It feels similar, so therefore I think it's easier to get into when you're already into these kind of games.
Yeah, if you hate high fantasy, you're not gonna like this, because it is like a, even though there's a lot of new stuff like this made, taken a high fantasy setting and made it their own. Like the characters, the races, everything feels like it's different. But it's kind of like Gloomhaven. Gloomhaven, oh, it's cool. You have a tinkerer. Okay, cool, but it could have been another thing. Like it's a new fantasy world, but it's still a high fantasy world. So if you don't like that, you're not gonna enjoy the world building of it. But if you do like a high fantasy world, or if you're like me, I don't have a preference. Like I love this world. I don't care where it is. I don't care, like, it could have been a steampunk world. It could have been sci-fi. I just love this world. And I want to explore it, and I want to be in this world. So, but again, like, if you want to play this for 2 players, I think is always the best for these kind of games. I think this would work really great with 3 and 4 as well.
Yes.
So if you are a big group and want a campaign game you can play for a year, or for 2 years, or 16 years, I think Agemonia would work well for that. So let's do some final thoughts. But before that, if you are new to the channel and you enjoy the things that we do, sitting here talking into camera about board games and cardboard and stuff, then you can help us out in a very big way, which is simple and free. And it is by giving us a victory point.
Yes, and we get victory points when you click that subscribe button. It makes us really happy. And you can also click the bell to get notifications every time we post a new video.
Yes, and I almost said it was the end, but we have final thoughts.
We have to do final thoughts.
You begin, because that's the rule.
I love this game. I really do. I want to finish this campaign because...
No, it's Swedish. It's Swedish. It's not Finnish.
Oh, it's not funny.
The joke that keeps on not being funny.
Yes.
Sorry. Continue.
But I really love this game, and that is the takeaway from my final thoughts in general.
Yeah.
I really like the gameplay. I like the world building. I really want to learn more about my character. I'm having so much fun while we play it. The downsides that I have is that the rules should have been better. I don't know why it isn't, and it makes me a little annoyed. The other thing is that the game can be pretty lengthy, but I really don't mind. I have so much fun, so it doesn't really matter. But this is, and so far we haven't gotten hugely into the story, but I'm story-wise, I'm not like, that's not the reason I need to finish
it hasn't been a cliffhanger yet.
No, that's not the reason I'm in this game right now.
No.
I'm thrilled about the other stuff, but I want more exciting stuff to happen there. So super duper happy about this game. I'm going to give it a 9.
Agemonia is fantastic. We try. We don't play many of them to the end, but we try many campaign games. This is a top tier campaign game for me.
Yes.
This is a top tier game. Like, this is a game that is, if you are into these kind of games, if you like Gloomhaven, if you like Awakened Realms stuff, if you like these kind of games, check this game out. Like, I can't tell you to buy it because it's a big game and it's a long game, and it's, for many people, going to be hard to finish the game because there's a lot of stuff in it. But it is a super good game. We have already decided to not do the thing we always do. This is the reason why we waited a bit to do this review, because we are always afraid that when we do the review, we don't gonna continue playing the game. But as soon as I press this stop recording, we're gonna go upstairs and play Agemonia, because we've been looking forward to that for the whole day. That's like, we had other stuff we need to do. We had some games we needed to play for other videos, but then we needed to get those done, enjoy those, have fun with those. But we've just been looking forward to play Agemonia, and I'm thinking about it many times, and as I said, like, we haven't gotten deep into the story yet, but everything that's been there has been really great. The side stuff has been fun, the characters, the factions that you talk about, they're trying to get you to join their faction. All of this makes it feel like a vibrant, fully fledged out world, and I just enjoy my time in this world so much. I'm crossing all my fingers that we can actually play this game to the end, because I would love to do that. Because I love the game. I'm going to give it a 9 as well. Great game. Just the rulebook could have been a bit better. And yeah, if we finish it, we might do like a shorter video. Yeah. If you're interested, let us know. But that's it. Yeah. Let us know what your favorite campaign games are. What game are you interested in this game? Do you have it already? Have you played it? What did you think of it? And that's going to be the end. Yes. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Johannes.
I'm Cinema.
And you've been watching Board Gaming Ramblings. And bye-bye. Let's play Agemonia! Yay.